time. We're going to break down Operation Epic Fury, including an unprecedented, nail-biting 50-hour rescue mission deep inside hostile territory, and then look at the massive global ultimatums that dropped right after. Let's jump right into it. Picture this. It's late on a Thursday night, and an American F-15E Strike Eagle, going by the call sign Dude 44, goes down right in the middle of Operation Epic Fury. Both the pilot and the weapons system officer manage to eject. They land alive, but they are completely isolated behind enemy lines. So it immediately poses this terrifying question: what exactly do you do when your forces are stranded deep inside heavily fortified territory? Well, the mandate from the top was instant and totally uncompromising: leave no American behind. But the risk here was frankly monumental. Think about it. Sending a rescue force into this kind of highly hostile environment meant potentially risking 100 lives just to save 2. Yet the order was crystal clear: bring them home. Now, what's fascinating is that this single crash resulted in 2 wildly different rescue operations. You've got the front seater, Dude 44 Alpha. He was grabbed in this incredibly audacious daylight rescue. But the back seater, Dude 44 Bravo, he landed miles away, he was injured, and he had to face a grueling 50-hour game of cat and mouse in the rugged mountains. To pull off that initial daylight rescue for Alpha, the military leaned heavily on what they call Sandies. If you're not familiar, a Sandy is an A-10 Warthog flying a highly specific and, let's be honest, highly dangerous mission. Their entire job is to fly low, violently engage the enemy in a close-in gunfight, and act as a literal shield between the downed survivor and advancing enemy forces. It is intense stuff. And within hours, a massive 21 aircraft armada just punched right into Iranian airspace in broad daylight. We're talking Sandies, Combat Kings, and Jolly Green 2 helicopters. The firefight that ensued was intense. One A-10 actually took a direct hit from a heat-seeking missile and barely limped back to a friendly country before the pilot had to eject. One of the rescue choppers took several hits too, but incredibly, against all odds, they snatched Alpha and got out by Friday afternoon. But then they hit a massive complication. Information leaked to the press, revealing that a second American was still out there. Just think about the gravity of that for a second. Instantly, the entire country was put on high alert. Local militias, terrorist groups, average citizens, they were all offered a huge reward. The search for Dude 44 Bravo had just turned into a nationwide manhunt. Meanwhile, Dude 44 Bravo is practically living a nightmare. He's bleeding, he's injured, and he's relying entirely on his survival training. He spent all through Friday literally scaling rugged mountain cliffs just to avoid capture. Finally, by Saturday morning, the CIA managed to get eyes on him. And by midnight on Easter Sunday, which is over 50 grueling hours later, he was safely pulled out. During that massive evasion, Bravo actually managed to patch up his own wounds and activate an emergency transponder. And his very first message? A simple, incredibly powerful, God is good. Because he got that signal out, intelligence agencies were able to spot the tiny movement of his head using a camera located 40 miles away. They watched him continuously for 45 minutes just to be absolutely certain they had their guy. But as you know, finding him and actually getting him out are 2 totally different things. With thousands of hostile forces actively hunting this guy, the CIA launched an absolute masterclass in misdirection. They simulated activity across 7 false locations. This completely scrambled the enemy's attention, making them look everywhere else so the real rescue force could slip in unnoticed. And man, for this nighttime extraction, the US military completely brought the hammer down. They authorized a staggering 155 aircraft. That's 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, and 13 rescue aircraft. It was an overwhelming, unbelievable flex of firepower, explicitly built to handle literally any possible disaster. And wouldn't you know it, disasters absolutely happened. The landing zone they picked turned out to be a muddy farm, and the heavy transport planes just completely bogged down in the wet, crummy sand. So what was their backup plan? It is mind-blowing. They blew up their own stuck planes right there so the tech couldn't be captured, called in lighter, faster aircraft, and then brought in 3 small helicopters with detached rotors. The teams literally rebuilt those choppers directly in the dirt in under 10 minutes. Talk about on-the-fly ingenuity. They neutralized the immediate threats, swooped right in, and grabbed Bravo. Despite flying low, taking enemy fire, and operating for 50 intense hours in hostile territory, the entire 2-part rescue concluded with 0 American casualties. None. Next up, the global impact, the geopolitical fallout of Operation Epic Fury. Let's zoom out to the broader reality of this campaign. To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of Operation Epic Fury, consider this number. Over just 37 days, the administration reported that U.S. forces carried out more than 10,000 combat flights over Iran, striking around 13,000 targets. That F-15 we just talked about, that was actually the very first manned U.S. aircraft lost in this entire unprecedented wave of strikes. With this level of military dominance clearly established, the president issued a very strict 48-hour ultimatum for Iran to negotiate a new deal. And the stated alternative, if they refuse, is severe. The administration explicitly threatened the destruction of critical infrastructure, specifically naming things like power plants and bridges, regardless of any raised concerns regarding international law. The rationale the administration gives for this aggressive posture actually covers a wide range of issues. They point to the termination of the Obama-era nuclear deal, arguing that it allowed a rapid path to an unlimited weapon. They defend the elimination of Qasem Soleimani as a necessary preventative measure to protect 5 U.S. military bases from planned attacks. And notably, they've also sharply criticized NATO allies, stating that those allies withheld help until it was clear America was winning. So what's the result of those 10,000 flights? Well, the administration assesses that Iranian forces are currently at their weakest point in 47 years. They report that 158 ships were knocked out in just 3 days, effectively neutralizing their Navy and Air Force, along with eliminating their radar and anti-aircraft systems. In fact, communication lines are reportedly so heavily damaged right now that simply talking to Iran during these 48-hour negotiations is proving incredibly difficult. Ultimately, the core objective driving this entire ongoing campaign boils down to one very clear stated stance. We're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. To that end, they recently used B-2 stealth bombers to obliterate suspected nuclear sites. It's a move the administration states was absolutely necessary to prevent the destruction of Israel and large parts of the Middle East. Which leaves us with one massive, looming question. We've just reviewed a 50-hour tactical rescue that proved undeniable military dominance, paired right up against an uncompromising 48-hour diplomatic ultimatum. So, will this unprecedented display of force and pressure forge a new, lasting deal, or are we witnessing the permanent destabilization of the entire region? What do you think this means for the